A school can prove that work happened and still not know whether the work mattered. That's one of the quiet tensions inside many accountability conversations. Meetings were held, documents were completed, the framework was introduced, the evidence was collected, the process was followed. All of that may matter, but none of it, by itself, tells us whether learning improved, whether students were better served, whether staff understood the work more deeply, or whether the next decision should change. This is why accountability cannot be carried by compliance alone. Compliance can show that activity occurred. Professional judgment is what helps leaders determine whether the activity served its purpose. There are really two accountability questions operating in schools. The first asks, did we do what we were asked to do or told to do? That is implementation accountability. It looks for completion, consistency, documentation, visibility, and evidence that the expected work occurred. That question has a place. Schools should not be able to claim improvement work that has never actually been attempted. But there is a second and more important question. Did the work improve the outcome? That is improvement accountability. The second question requires judgment. It asks leaders to interpret evidence. It asks them to understand context. It asks them to notice what changed for learners. It asks them to decide what should happen next. And that's not a procedural question, it's a professional one. Now, let's imagine two schools implementing the same literacy priority. One serves a highly mobile community. Students arrive throughout the year. Many are learning English as an additional language. Attendance is uneven. Families may be navigating complex pressures outside of school. The other school serves a more stable community. Enrollments are consistent. Attendance is strong. Families are highly engaged, and students generally arrive with established literacy foundations. Now, both schools should care deeply about literacy. Both schools should be accountable for improving literacy outcomes. But responsible leadership may not look identical in both places. The first school may need to connect literacy improvement with language support, attendance strategies, transition processes, and family trust. The second may be able to move more quickly into instructional precision, richer texts, and more ambitious growth targets. The same priority may be legitimate in both settings. The responsibility pathway may differ. That is not weaker accountability. That is accountability made more intelligent by judgment. Now, this matters. Professional judgment is not personal preference. It's not instinct without evidence. It's not a license to ignore expectations. It's not a way to avoid scrutiny. Professional judgment becomes professional when it's disciplined by evidence, shaped by ethical responsibility, responsive context, and open to challenge. So before just implementing an initiative that's handed to a school, a leader should be able to explain, what outcome are we pursuing? What evidence are we considering? What does our context require? What changed for our learners? What still needs to improve? That is not avoiding accountability, that is a stronger form of it, because it connects action to purpose, evidence, context, impact, and learning. So the practical move is simple. Many accountability conversations begin with this question: did we implement this correctly? And sometimes that question is necessary, but it's rarely enough. A better accountability conversation begins with three different questions. What outcome are we trying to improve? What evidence tells us whether we're making progress? And what does our context, our unique context, require us to do next? Those questions do not reduce accountability, they strengthen it. They keep the focus on learners. They invite evidence without allowing evidence collection to become the work itself. They honor context without using context as an excuse. And they make professional judgment visible enough to be discussed, challenged, refined, and improved. That is the deeper issue. The question is not whether schools need accountability. They do. The question is what kind of accountability strengthens the professional work of leadership. If accountability only asks whether activity occurred, we may become very good at proving what work happened. But if accountability also asks leaders to explain their judgment, examine evidence honestly, and learn from what they discover, then accountability becomes something much more powerful. It becomes a professional conversation about purpose, impact, context, and responsibility. And this is one of the ideas I explore in my leadership paper, The Sustainability Myth. And if this tension between accountability, compliance, and professional judgment feels familiar, you can download the full paper through the link in the description. Compliance can show what happened, judgment helps us understand what mattered.